The honourable member for Calgary Confederation.
Madam Speaker, the Liberal government's tax change proposals will hurt the very people they say that they want to help. I have received hundreds and hundreds of letters from constituents opposed to this, and just a single letter of support of the changes. Those writing have made it very clear they are not the wealthy 1%, but are mostly middle-class Canadians who have taken risks to start their own business and create their own jobs in the community. Many have laid bare the dire consequences these changes will have on their business and their families. These small business owners warn that they will have to reduce staff and will have to raise unemployment at a time when we can't afford to lose more jobs in Alberta. Others have spoken of their need to consider cutting back on their community support and charitable donations just to keep their business profitable. It has not been lost on Canadians that this Liberal government chose the middle of the summer to conduct their consultations in an effort to pull a fast one on Canadians. It is clear this Liberal government didn't really want to hear from Canadians and remains still determined to proceed with the changes no matter what. Their indignant attitude is both reckless and offensive to taxpayers. Madam Speaker, a constituent wrote to me, Joseph Klassen, and he wrote, "I am a small business owner. I employ 12 people, and the annual payroll for this staff runs about $1.25 million. This may appear small to others, but I feel that we employ these people, giving them a reasonable living while making a positive contribution to the Canadian economy. Once you remove the incentive of being able to earn a reasonable financial return on my total business investment, I will have to consider the possibility of closing this business." And Dr. Peter Samuels wrote to me and said, "The government's proposed tax changes for private corporations will make it more difficult for physicians to provide the quality of care that their patients deserve. These proposed changes will harm patients, physicians, and their families. Small business owners and their many employees will be harmed. Communities and the Canadian economy will suffer. I encourage the Finance Minister in the strongest terms not to implement the proposed tax changes for private corporations." And constituent Brian said, "I'm a small business owner in Alberta, and I have been since 2010. Last year, my personal income was less than $50,000, and I've had to lay off 23 people due to the downturn in the economy and the relentless increase in taxes directly affecting my company. Over the past 6 months, we have finally seen a bottom in the Alberta economy. Yet, with the backdrop of all these tax increases, I have little interest in increasing our staffing at this time." And finally, constituent Linda Good wrote, "I voted Liberal in the last election. At a conceptual level, I support much of the Liberal platform. However, I struggle with some of the tactics for achieving that platform. More specifically, I'm appalled by the proposed tax changes that will directly impact my partner and I as a small business owner and as a member of the middle class. My partner and I are both 63 years old. We have lived like students for decades. We have sacrificed a great deal so that we could be financially independent in retirement and not be a burden on society. Changing the rules on retained earnings directly and dramatically impacts our financial security. At our age, we have run out of time in terms of earning capacity to offset the impacts of the proposed tax changes. The government's attempt to create greater fairness certainly has missed the mark for us." Madam Speaker, I could go on. I have hundreds of letters like this. But like those who wrote to me, I don't think the Liberal government is listening anyways. Thank you.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Small Business and Tourism.
Madame la Présidente.
Madam Speaker, I am pleased to have the opportunity to speak to the government's proposals concerning tax strategies for private corporations. As you know, we are currently conducting consultations on these proposals that seek to fix the matter of tax advantages linked to private business. The government has called on stakeholders from across Canada to express themselves concerning these proposals. It listened to what they had to say, and much of what was said was useful to the government because it helped the government better understand the scope of the proposals it is making. I can assure you that we are going to take stock of what we have heard and together we will make the decisions, the right decisions that will help us make our tax system fairer.
Madam Speaker, I think it's important that we highlight some of the facts. To begin with, we are not increasing the small business tax rate. Canadian small businesses will continue to benefit from the lowest small business tax in the G7. Our proposals will have no impact on businesses' ability to save or invest for business. Our proposals will not affect an individual's ability to incorporate their businesses, nor will they prevent business owners from employing family members. It's also important to note that middle-class Canadians and small businesses are not the focus of our proposed changes. We recognize there are business owners and professionals who have saved and planned for their retirement under the existing rules. On this matter, I want to reassure everyone that our proposed changes to passive income taxation would only apply on a go-forward basis, not to existing savings nor to investment income from those savings. Nous ne prendrons aucune mesure.
We will take no measure that jeopardizes this extraordinary advantage. Thus, our businesses will be able to continue to create jobs and invest in their communities. After all, Canada has one of the most competitive tax systems in the world. As an example, its small business tax rate is among the lowest, or rather it is the lowest, of all G7 countries. Thank you.
The honourable member for Calgary Confederation.
Madam Speaker, I appreciate the time that my colleague took to respond to my comments, but none of what she says provides any comfort to or assurances to me or to my community. This government's reckless spending has created a fiscal hole that will hurt Canadians today and in the future. The previous Conservative government was able to balance the budget under the current rules. The current Liberal government, addicted to spending, is desperately grabbing more tax dollars from every Canadian. These changes threaten the very services our communities need. We are risking losing people in some of the professions we need most, the doctors, the farmers, and others. If changes to our tax system are warranted, then let's make sure that we make them after fully considering the problem, our options, and the effects any proposed solution will have. The consequences of rushing into these changes are too high. Canada cannot afford to destroy those who build our communities, create jobs, and take risks where others won't. Thank you.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Small Business and Tourism.
Madame la Présidente.
Madam Speaker, all the decisions that we make have been reflected upon for a very long time. They will be guided by our main objective, which is to ensure tax fairness for the middle class and all those who are working hard to join it. What we want is to strike the right balance. We want to make sure that all Canadians have the possibility of succeeding. We want to put an end to certain injustices. And thus, Canadians will be convinced that they have a tax system that is more fair.
Is pivotal in making sure our economy is really working for everyone, and especially the middle class. And I'm confident that we are going to get this right.